Greetings YouTube! What can I say about Lies of P? Well, it's a Souls game. What I mean by that is, it'll hit you in the balls so hard there's a fair chance you'll cough up a kidney. As soon as you wake up in the chair, you'll immediately be thinking, Bloodborne. That feeling will intensify when you pick up a sword, but no shield. Then you step outside. And are met with a scene of carnage, the aftermath of a disaster you've woken up too late to witness. Bloodborne! Enemies are puppets, mechanical servants run amok. Will virtual society never learn?
Here you will witness the most spectacular display of human endeavor on Earth. If Crop is your final destination, we wish you a safe and prosperous day.
Like Bloodborne, you can recover some lost health by attacking enemies quickly after the damage was taken. Unlike Bloodborne, you can block! But blocking at a less than perfect moment will cause you to still take a bit of damage. Healing is the usual method, it's limited to 3 uses, but if you've depleted your healing charges completely, you can regenerate a single charge by attacking enemies. That's different. Most enemies at the start are standard street sign wielding and candelabra swinging nutcases with no regard for their own safety, naturally. A bit later they're augmented with mechanical dogs. Now these mutts are not the infected blight hounds from Elden Ring, these are much easier to deal with. Then there's the occasional ambush. Fortunately this game isn't trying to copy Code Vein. The ambushes here are very rare. To my mind I think I spotted 3 in the first area. Now of course there are bigger puppets, bigger ones. Makes me wonder what the hell some of these were for. Or should I say, what the hell was someone else thinking when they thought that this was a good idea? Now the bigger ones are correspondingly more powerful, more resilient and harder to predict as well. Now, unlike most Souls games, weapon durability is an issue here. Your weapon will break if its durability reaches 0, and it runs down so fast. It took me a while to work out what the problem was. You're supposed to use an infinite use gadget called the Grinder to restore the weapon to full use. Although quite how a grinder restores the durability of a weapon instead of breaking it further is beyond me. If the grinder restored the weapon's sharpness, that I would have bought. But regardless, your weapon is supposed to be at risk breaking half the time because it's so easy to repair. You're meant to repair it strategically when you get an opening, either between fights or in the middle of sometimes a boss fight. Speaking of which, end of Area 1 boss, because of course there is, naturally. It's a 2-phase fight where the boss kicks into high gear after taking enough damage, because of course it fucking does. I do not like bosses in games that do this. Never have, never will. I mean, shouldn't combatants be getting slower as the fight drags on instead of quicker? I don't know. The first time I fought this guy, I knew it was going to happen. I characteristically got my ass handed to me, and the fight was grueling up until that point. In any case, as I tried to work him out. second attempt though, I was a bit more aggressive because I'd kind of gotten a bit of a feel for him already. And I started staying near him, taking advantage of his openings better. Until his second phase, which threw everything I'd learned straight out the window in a split second. Did I mention I hate this two-phase bullshit? Now, if there's one thing I do want to criticise, I mean genuinely criticise, not just because I think it's crap, it's this. I had some trouble dodging around his legs. It felt like he had very square hitboxes around his legs, and I occasionally bashed into one of the corners. It's kind of annoying, it happened more than once. The dodge distance that you have isn't massive either, but arguably that wouldn't matter if your timing was impeccable, which unfortunately mine isn't. Now eventually, by counter-blocking and reading his moves, I actually broke his weapon. Which was very helpful because his attack range dramatically reduced, making the second phase piss easy. At least by comparison up until that point. He'd been a bloody nightmare. Now, once you're past him, you gain access to the Hotel Krat, and it's the hub services area. It's the area these games always have. It's things like you have vendors and repair smiths and that kind of thing. Although it's a bit sparsely inhabited when you first get here, I suspect you may have to encounter other people later on in the main game. But regardless, you look around this area, and particularly in this hotel, it looks gorgeous. You can see the visuals on full display, it's brightly lit, all the decor and everything. I have my game set to prioritise frame rate over graphics, like I always do. I still thought it looked gorgeous, even without the enhanced graphics, supposedly. Now the second area beyond this point, that has tighter spaces in the back streets. And here, you'll find the same kind of enemies, but more ambushes. Not millions of them, but enough to make you jittery about what's around that next corner over there. Enough to make you slow down a touch and keep an eye open. And even then, you can still be blindsided. In my opinion, it's at this point in the game that it starts to properly feel like Bloodborne. It feels like the game kicked it up a notch. You see more enemy placements creating layered defences. What I mean by that is melee guys are up front, the guys with guns or grenades are at the back, making it much harder for you to survive, let alone kill everybody. Unlike a normal Souls game, as I say, this doesn't clobber you with this kind of stuff wholesale until the second area. Really, the collision detection on the dodge is the only thing that's bothering me. Well, I mean, apart from the fact that the difficulty is making me think it might be easier to eat a brick, but that's just for me. That's me. For me, that's normal. Now, the opening two areas do feel easier than some other Souls games I've played. Some. So far it feels a touch easier than Bloodborne overall, but it does very much feel like it's an alternate universe carbon copy of it. Waking up in the chair at the beginning, the crazed human-shaped monsters stalking the streets, the dodge-focused combat, the mysterious city-destroying event, the substance called ergo, supposedly responsible for the rise of the civilization to spectacular heights and its subsequent collapse. Sound familiar? Oh, and your left arm, it can be changed out for a gadget. Sekiro, anyone? Most games make an attempt to be different somehow. Its aesthetic is different, obviously, but this feels like it has the exact same DNA running through it. It also allows you to lie. Because Pinocchio. Get it? Yeah, me neither. Not yet, anyway. This is just a demo.
Grand Covenant's fourth law. A puppet cannot lie. Welcome to Hotel Krat.
It looks interesting, but beware. You will encounter sections you will beat your head against until you suffer a literal headache. This was mine. Excuse me, I need to go find a brick.